Welcome back to the Fan Speak Network. I'm your host, Megan Schaub. You can follow me at Megs08DFS on Twitter. And today is our first episode of Bet to the Future. That's right. I always like to make a good 80s or 90s pun. So why not when we're talking NFL futures bets? Steve, are you ready to go bet to the future? Take that DeLorean and bet to the future?
I hope I get the almanac from Back to the Future. That would help.
All right. So today, Steve, by the way, you could follow Steve at SteveOSpeak on Twitter. Steve and I are talking futures bets for two NFC divisions. We're going to go through all 8 divisions. Don't worry. Today, we are covering the NFC East and the NFC South. Steve is going to be breaking down the NFC East, and I am going to be breaking down the NFC South with our favorite futures bets. So I'm going to jump right over, and just for the case of using the same sportsbook, obviously when you're shopping lines, go to all the different sportsbooks, find the best line. But just to make it easy, we're just going to use FanDuel Sportsbook today. So I'm going to jump over there, Steve, and we're going to go through the NFC East and see what you like. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Let's pull it in. And let me pull up. Okay, we've got the Dallas Cowboys pulled up first, Steve, and their win total is set, again, on FanDuel Sportsbook, 10.5 wins. The over is plus 105. The under is minus 130. What do you like and why?
I'm taking the over here. I know 10.5, there's things that can go wrong, injuries, et cetera, but Dallas is the best team in the division, I think, pretty clearly, and by a pretty good margin. It's an easy division. They went 6-0 last year, probably could go 6-0, 5-1, 4-2 at the worst in the division, and they have a pretty easy schedule. So game to 11 wins, I don't think is that difficult for them.
Okay. I never like hearing that Dallas will do well, but let's move over to, let's see, we'll go to the New York Giants. We'll go in order here of alphabetical and how it's on FanDuel Sportsbook. And the New York Giants win total is set at 7.5. Over is plus 125. Under is minus 145. What do you like and why?
I'm looking to take the under here. I don't love taking this line just because gain 8 wins, again, in a pretty easy division could happen in a couple different ways. But I think the Giants are the worst team in the division. Major questions at quarterback. Their offensive line should be better, and offense in general should be better. Saquon Barkley can stay healthy, but I just think this is a team. Their secondary is pretty bad. They're going to lose a lot of games. So I'm taking the under here. I wouldn't put a lot on it, but I like the under.
Yeah, and I like Brian Dable as a coach, but it's his first season. He's still got
it's going to take some time and probably a new quarterback.
Exactly. I would agree. All right, we're going to head over to the Philadelphia Eagles. Their win total is set at 9.5. You have to pay minus 130 for the over, and the under is plus 110.
This is a line I am just not going to bet. I'm going to avoid 9.5. I think they can get to 10 wins. Again, with the weaker division and the weaker schedule, and their offense should be improved. But I still think there's some issues, with Jalen Hurts and trusting him. They don't have that alpha running back. They have a good committee, but they don't have that alpha. So that's a little bit scary, since that's probably their best way to win. Their defense is good, though. So I think 10 is definitely doable, but I don't like that even if they get 10, you're eating some juice there. So,
right.
I think 10 is probably a strong line for them, but 9.5 is a good line for them. But I just I'm going to avoid it just because I don't think you get a lot when you win.
And that's fine. With futures bets, you don't have to bet them all. You're looking for where you find value. So I think that's smart. Washington Commanders are Washington Commanders. We purposely picked the NFC East because if I did this, you would just get a huge homer take throughout the entire thing of ridiculous futures for the Washington Commanders, because that's what I do every year. But Steve is going to give us a level-headed take on the Washington Commanders. Their win total is set at 8.5. You do get, Steve, plus 145 on the over. And the minus is minus 170.
Yeah.
What are you going to do here?
It's obviously really pushing you to the over here because even if you think this team is terrible, you're not getting a lot if you're getting the under and you luck out there. Washington should be a better team this year. Carson Wentz, they have more weapons, healthier weapons with Curtis Samuel back, strong offensive line, depth at running back. Even if Antonio Gibson's not the starter and it's Brian Robinson, you got depth there. Right. Defense should be better, but we don't know when Chase Young's going to be back, so that's a little worrisome. This is probably one I will bet either very little on or just totally avoid, because gain 9 wins is not necessarily easy when you don't have that great quarterback. They're still going to need a lot to go right. But the good news is they have enough pieces where things, if they stay healthy, which is something they did not do last year, losing both their top pass rushers and all the COVID issues, as well as Ryan Fitzpatrick. It was just a mess last year. So it should be better. 9 wins is definitely doable for this team, but honestly, I think they're much more like a 7-8 win team at best. And, taking the under there just doesn't feel good because you're just eating money at minus 170. So,
right. Agreed. Well, of course I agree. Let's go over to the division winners and see the lines. And you could tell me if you like any of the lines that, if you see value here. So what we have for the NFC East is the Cowboys plus 135, the Eagles plus 170, Washington Commanders plus 500, and New York Giants plus 700. Are you interested in making a futures bet on the division winner here?
Yeah, I'm going to just keep riding with the Cowboys. Again, you're getting positive odds. It's smaller, but, you point to any other projected division winner, and it's typically in the minus. I mean,
of course. Right.
So you're getting a situation. Dallas is the best quarterback, strong offensive line, good weapons, down, low down from last year with losing a couple guys and Gallup not 100% to start the year, but they have the talent on offense. They're very good defense last year. You might see some regression, especially in their turnovers and defensive touchdowns, but it's a good enough defense. They got some special players on it. So, I'll project the Cowboys to win, and even if they win ugly and it's like a 9-8 season, you're still getting positive odds here. So I like them at positive odds just because there's just a lot of ways that the other teams can fail. I think it would be, as long as Dak stays healthy, Cowboys should be in the playoff mix and have a strong division case.
Right. I can't disagree with you there, unfortunately, but me, I always put chips on Washington futures. So I will definitely be taking plus 500 and anything else ridiculous I can, because that's what I like to do to enjoy the season. But I will give you some real takes a minute on the NFC South. But any long shots for because long shots are fun when you're betting futures. Obviously do it wisely, bet responsibly, but any long shots that you like for the NFC East?
I think one thing you can do is, of course, alternate win totals. I think you could, it would be interesting to, if you could show me the Cowboys real quick. And, if you do say, like over 11.5 or over 12.5 and really think that they could go on a run here.
That's quite important.
That's interesting because, again, they could be spotted 6 wins from their division. So I like that, because for a team to get that big type of win total, they obviously have to dominate their division. They're in a great spot to do that.
Right.
So I don't mind that, pushing that instead of just sticking with the regular 10.5 and just really betting on them. The other one, if you could show the Giants alternate total, that was the other one that I had some interest in, and of course taking it from the opposite perspective of, if Daniel Jones really struggles and they turn to Tyrod Taylor, or maybe they just ride out with Daniel Jones. I mean, this team has been bad. This team has been really, really bad, and it was not just all Joe Judge.
Right.
And I like Dable. I think 2-3 years from now, they had a strong draft this year. They get a couple more pieces. They get a good quarterback. This could be a team to roll, but betting them like under 4.5 wins, under 5.5 wins, getting, increasing the positivity of the odds there. A lot of ways that could happen, because on the opposite end of the spectrum, instead of, they beat the Eagles once last year, they could go 0-6 in the division. So then they're really struggling to find 5 wins, 6 wins. So yeah, I mean, I like those types of lines. I mean, I wouldn't do anything super crazy like the under 2.5 or even the under 3.5. They probably have enough of a baseline and could obviously steal one or two games in the division anyways. But yeah, so those are the two alternate lines I had some interest in, is pushing the Giants down or the Cowboys up.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Just because if you're going to make that bet that the Cowboys are going to be good, win the division, I'd bet the division winner, and instead of the 10.5, I might just bet it at 11.5 or 12.5 and say, hey, I'm really betting the Cowboys.
Right. Okay. Well, now let's jump over to the NFC South. So I'm going to go back to the win totals, and we're going to jump right into, let's see here. Why am I seeing local win totals here?
It's the conference division. You need to go over.
Oh, these are the division winners. So there we go.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So, all right, Steve.
So yeah, Atlanta Falcons. This is an interesting line here. Over 4.5 minus 120, under 4.5 plus 100. Where are you going with Marcus Mariota in these Falcons?
I know some people think Marcus Mariota, could, step up in that role. I know he's worked with the head coach before and has some history with Arthur Smith from Tennessee. But listen, I think this is a rebuilding team. There's a couple teams in the NFL this season that I just see in full rebuilding mode. And after trading Matt Ryan away, yes, I know they have Kyle Pitts. Yes, I know they drafted Drake London. But I just don't, the defense is bad in every category. The offensive line is one of the worst in the league. I just don't see this offense, even with Pitts and London. And if you do think Mariota does well, I don't think it has enough to at all be able to do well in this division, number one. And number two, the NFC South has a very tough strength of schedule. They have one of the toughest strength of schedules. So I believe that the Falcons, I just wrote an NFC South futures article. So be sure to check out my article that I just wrote. And in it breaks down everything from strength of schedule, the key additions, losses, and then of course like what the line is, the bets I like, and everything we're going to talk about now. But they have a very tough schedule. And so, with all that said, if they're not getting wins in their division, and I don't see many wins on the schedule outside of the division, I'm going to take the plus odds and go under 4.5 wins at plus 100.
Yeah. I mean, it's always tough to take it when it's that low.
Right.
Because a couple little plays can break your way. I mean,
right.
Perfect example last year is, say, the Lions, they were not good. They had the second overall pick in the draft. And, what if Justin Tucker doesn't make that field goal?
Right,
or, the officials call the game correctly. There was a couple other games where they lost in the last second. So, but I agree with you. Like, this is a team that probably is not going to have luck going their way. The biggest things is what you said, that offensive line and that defense. That's a bad recipe.
It's brutal. Yeah, that's a bad recipe, especially when I don't even see them really getting a win in their division, quite honestly. So, all right, let's go over the Panthers.
Okay. So with the Panthers, this even with the Baker at the helm, it's over 6.5 plus 105, under 6.5 minus 125. Where are you going on this line?
This one's easy for me. I wrote about this in my article. I wrote about this in an article recently on offenses I'm high on to start the season, and the Panthers are one of them. Listen, I think Baker was injured last season. 2 years ago, he took the Browns to the playoffs in the first time in like gazillion years, and, they tossed him aside. I think he was injured last season. I think, kind of the Browns trash is going to be, the Panthers treasure here. I think, listen, I'm not saying Baker's going to be like some top fantasy quarterback, but what I do think is he's going to elevate this offense. They've had really bad quarterback play here. And I think Baker's a very capable quarterback when healthy. And I think he's going to elevate DJ Moore, even Robbie Anderson. And then you've got Christian McCaffrey coming back. This is the best running back in the league. I mean, he is just a dual threat monster. So, all those pieces together, they also bolstered their offensive line. That was a big weakness for them last year. And they, both in the draft and free agency, they have 3 new starting offensive linemen. So, they got a young defense that I like too. I like this team to really show up this year and surprise some people. So we'll get to some long shots too, but I'm definitely taking the over at plus 105.
Yeah, no, I am 100% in agreement with you. I love that over. I can't believe it's set at 6.5 and you're getting a little positivity there.
So, right. Yeah. Jump on it before you lose that, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's now go over to the Saints.
All right. Saints, we have over 8.5 plus 105, under 8.5 minus 125. Where are you with the Saints with Jameis Winston coming back?
Yeah, kind of like you did for the Eagles. I'm just going to stay away. Again, you don't have to bet all futures bets. So you're looking for value, and I don't see value here because I don't know what to expect from this Saints team. Jameis Winston's coming back from injury. Michael Thomas essentially hasn't really played in 2 years. He's had this incredibly nagging ankle injury that he's been rehabbing, and maybe he does come back the full Michael Thomas. But last time Michael Thomas was playing, Drew Brees was his quarterback. Let's see how Thomas comes back. Let's see how Thomas works with Jameis Winston. That's a big factor. It does look like they will have Kamara. We thought potentially he could be suspended. It looks like they will have him all this season. But I just think there's just a lot of moving parts. And one of the biggest moving parts is you lost offensive mastermind Sean Payton. And now, yes, you did have some continuity by, keeping promoting the defensive coordinator to your head coach, and he kept a lot of staff, but I still worry that there's just so much change here. I don't know what to expect, and with that, I could see it going either way here, and I'm just going to stay away.
Yeah, I think that's the smart call, and especially at a line at 8.5. There's just so many ways that it could go right or wrong.
Yes.
I mean, they. Like you said, Sean Payton got the most out of that team last year. They almost made the playoffs. Probably would if Taysom Hill doesn't get injured in the final game. But it's that's just a tough line because what if Kamara does get suspended like midway through the season? His court case got pushed back a couple months, not a year. So I mean, there's just a lot of ways that it could go wrong. So I'm with you. Stay away from this.
Right. Okay. Now let's round out with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Are they going to go on another Super Bowl run?
All right. So we have the Buccaneers over 11.5 plus 105, the under 11.5 minus 125. What do you think you should do without knowing when Tom Brady will return to this team?
Yeah, that storyline's just wild. I'm not even going to go there. I mean, it's just, everybody is speculating where is he and when will he be back. But it is still Tom Brady. He unretired to come back to make another Super Bowl run with this team. And, yes, they lost Rob Gronkowski. Yes, Chris Godwin is recovering from his ACL tear and working his way back. So, yes, there are some of those factors that they have a new head coach in Todd Bowles. So, but there's continuity there as he was the coordinator last year. So, with all the any turnover or changes, with all that said, I just have made it a habit, or what I've learned to do, just don't bet against Tom Brady. I'm just not going to do it. I just can't. Yes, they do have one of the most, I believe, the 4th most difficult schedule in the league. So I could see a case for the under, but I just make a habit of not betting against Tom Brady. And if you're getting plus odds too, not that I put a lot on this, but I do like the over 11.5. And just say that, Tom Brady is going to put this team on his back. This is still, a team built to go all the way to the Super Bowl. And I'm going to, bet on that basically.
Yeah. And I think going off what you said before with the Saints, I mean, Sean Payton had Tom Brady's number. I mean, we saw him beat him twice last year. I think beat him once or twice the year before. Right. Is that going to be the same with the Saints? Because otherwise it could be an easy 6 wins in the division. So you're halfway there. With
that said, though, Steve, I do have a couple long shots for you. Are you ready?
All right. Yes. All right. Let's look at these.
So on FanDuel, a couple of the cool things you can do on FanDuel Sportsbook that I like is you can look at the teams to win 10 games. And obviously, if, some of the lines that you're getting on these teams are, over 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, and you're pushing it to 10, just like you push the Cowboys, you're really getting some plus odds. So if you think, as much as I do, that the Panthers could surprise people this year, again, out of all the NFC South teams, they have the easiest schedule because they finished last year. So, if you think that this offense can really break out, the young defense can step up, they can compete. Again, remember the NFC is much easier than the AFC to make the playoffs, to string together some wins. And so I like, just a long shot, the Carolina Panthers plus 500, and a sprinkle on if you go over to make the playoffs. And you can also parlay these too if you want to get really nuts. It's let's see, plus 410. You've got plus 410 for Carolina Panthers to make the playoffs. Again, it's a gauntlet in the AFC to make the playoffs. In the NFC, not so much. So, if you have a team that breaks out and you think the Panthers are, I have a couple teams that I think could surprise people, then, you can get some major value there. So, they're fun bets too. I'm not saying to bet responsibly for sure, but, these are bets that you can have some fun with. So those are the two. I'm bullish on the Panthers this season, and I am going to make a bet on the 10 wins and to make the playoffs in case they really, really do surprise people.
Yeah, I probably make the playoffs better than the 10 wins, just because, like you said, it is the NFC, and I think we could see a 9-8 team, or maybe like an 8-1 team with the tie in there. Right. Even an 8-9 team. That's how bad the NFC could be. So I think that gives you a little few more outs without sacrificing a lot on the odds side. So
right. Absolutely. Well, Steve, our first bet to the future has been fun. We're going to continue this series for the next couple of weeks. So we're going to go 2 divisions at a time and continue this. I hope you guys enjoy this. Let us know in the comments section who you like as your favorite futures bets for the NFC East or the NFC South. Also, before you get out of here, remember, we partnered with Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has amazing, huge best ball tournaments. They're dropping best ball tournaments, I think, the next couple Mondays. We have a few more weeks to fill up the Best Ball Mania 3 with a top prize of $2 million. Best part, if you use code FANSPEAK, you get 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Deposit 100, get 100. That's 4 free BBM entries, 4 shots at $2 million. I mean, come on, that's for free. I mean, why not? Yeah. Right. So remember that. Also, of course, like and subscribe and tell a friend. We are growing the FanSpeak network. So with that, go make some futures bets, and we will see you next time.